I really like working with Unity, but like with most engines or frameworks, it requires me to write a lot of boilerplate code, which most of the time ends up just slowing me down. Well, recently I discovered a tool that helps alleviate a lot of the pain of writing this type of code. And in this video, I'm going to share that tool with you, so you too can speed up your workflow by never having to write Unity boilerplate like debug.log, require component, or serialize field by hand again. Not only will I show you how to use this tool, but I'll teach you how to customize it so you can tailor it to fit the needs of your own specific workflow. Now, there is one caveat that you should be aware about before we move forward. This tool is actually a feature of the IDE Writer called Live Templates. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Writer's not free, and for some folks might be considered a little too pricey. So if you stick around and watch to the end of this video, I'll show you how you can get a 6-month extended trial license promo code. That way, you can play around with Writer for 6 months and decide for yourself whether or not you think it's a worthy investment for your game development journey. Live templates are like shortcuts for pieces of code that you find yourself writing a lot. Think if statements, for loops, log statements. Basically, anything you find yourself writing over and over again is a prime candidate for a live template. And in most cases, they'll even guide you through the process step by step, using parameters that help you fill out the fragment, and then ending with the cursor in a place that makes sense, so you can keep typing and never break your flow. Let me show you what I mean with this quick example. So returning back to the example from the beginning of this video, a more stripped down version, let's say we wanted to go ahead and loop through these audio clips. Well, with the live templates, we can simply type in FOR, and you can see that we're given a couple of results at the top that each have this little square icon. That icon represents a live template. So we can see we've got a simple for loop, a for each block, and even a reverse for loop. For now, we're just going to go ahead and select the for loop by hitting Tab. And immediately an entire fragment of code is created, and the cursor is placed on this I variable, which we can change by simply hitting J, or I don't know, Z, or X, it doesn't matter. I think I'm going to keep it as I. Now, if I hit Tab, we can see we're taken to the next parameter in this snippet, and so I'm going to set it to audioclips.count. All right, now we'll hit Tab one more time, and the code fragment is complete, and the live template has placed the cursor inside of the for loop, where I can simply just continue typing. Just like that, we have a for loop. Now, there are a ton of predefined live templates for C#, but there's also a bunch that were specifically designed for Unity. For instance, let's say we wanted to add a serialized field. We can just move the cursor up to where we'd like it to be, and then start typing S field. And we can see we have a Unity serialized field live template. So I'll go ahead and hit Tab, and the cursor is taken to our first parameter of this live template, and that's the type. So I'm going to make this a list of audio clips. I'll hit Tab, and then I'll type in the name of the field. I'll call it audio clips. Now I'll hit Tab again, and this particular live template ends with the cursor just below the serialized field. So now we can go ahead and just remove this. All right. And of course, we're referencing an audio source, and I want to make sure that whoever sets up this game object doesn't forget to add an audio source. So we can go ahead and put the cursor above the class declaration and begin typing REQ. And there we have a Unity required component attribute live template. So I'll hit Tab, and then it types in all of that for us, including the type of, so I can go ahead and just write audio source. And then hit Tab. And that's it. Pretty cool, right? Now, obviously in this play all method that we've created here, we won't be able to loop through the clips and play them all. In order to do that, we'd have to use a coroutine. Well, wouldn't you know it, there's actually a live template for coroutines. Just simply start typing COR, and there you go. Hit Tab, and we'll call this play all coroutine. And then of course we would just make a call to start coroutine, and place all of our logic in this method here. And that's just a taste of the live templates that are available in Writer for both C# and Unity, which, by the way, I've linked a full list for each in the description of this video. There are even some live templates for some paradigms that I hadn't even really considered before. For instance, if I use sProp instead of sField, it'll actually create a serialized field that acts as a backing property for a public type. So if I wanted volume to be publicly accessible, but set only from the editor, then we could do something like this, which I think is pretty cool. All right, so the last thing I'm going to show you is how to create your own live template. And I actually have a great example for this. I recently created a video on using rich text in your Unity logs, and that'll allow you to do things like add color, set the font size, and set certain elements of your message to be bold if you'd like. Now, there already is a live template for logging, so it's basically just type in log, and we see we've got a whole bunch. We can just do a normal log an error, exceptions, variables, warnings. We just tab on this, we can see basically makes a call to debug.log and allows us to very quickly add a message. So for instance, we can say that the volume equals, and then add a reference to our volume. But what I want to do is create a live template that allows me to very quickly log something with a color. To do that, we're going to go ahead and expand the File menu and then select Settings. With the settings open, we can very quickly find the live templates by searching for Live Template. And then when we see it pop up in the results, we can go ahead and select the C# language. And here's a list of all the available live templates for C# language. And we can see here the logs that we just leveraged in the editor. Now, if we take a look at the settings, here on the left is where we place the code fragment, and each variable is wrapped with $signs, and you can have as many as you'd like. On our right are some options that define how the live template can be used. So we can see that for this one, the shortcut is log, and that's what we type into the editor. The description is what displays in the IntelliSense menu. These two options here are for allowing Writer to reformat the code, as well as to shorten the qualified references. So this Unity engine that you see in the fragment will actually get imported automatically. And then we have our availability. So we can see that this particular template is available in C# 2.0 and Unity C# files. And lastly, this is only used for generation and not for surrounding code. So why don't we give it a try? We can make our own by selecting this option here. It's basically the same symbol that we see in the IntelliSense menu, except it has a little asterisk next to it. So we'll just click that. And now we have a no-name live template. So first things first, why don't we go ahead and add the code? We obviously don't know the context of when this is going to be used, so we're going to need to explicitly make sure to reference the Unity engine, and then we'll call debug.log. And then for the message, we're going to reference the color tag. And here we're going to enter our first parameter. I'm going to call it color. So because I wrapped the word color there in $signs, that is now going to be considered a parameter or a variable of this live template. Then I'll close the tag, and then I'm going to add another variable that's going to represent our message. So I'll just call this message. And then I can close out the color tag and complete the call. And that's it. Next, we're going to need to define the shortcut. So I'm just going to call this log color. And for the description, let's say something like Unity log with color. Very original. We'll keep the reformat and shorten qualified references options checked. And then I'm going to add the availability to Unity C# files, just like the other log statement. Okay. Lastly, we'll keep this as generation, and we don't need to edit anything else. So we can go ahead and save. Now we can add a log statement using log color, and we can see that the cursor is immediately placed over our first parameter, which is the color. And maybe we'll call this green, since it's my favorite color. And then I'm going to reference the volume. And that's it. Not bad. And again, this only scratches the surface of what you can do with live templates. You can create tons of custom templates. And in fact, if you join our Discord server, some of our community members like Mateo and A Piece of Fruit have created their own live templates and shared them in the community. I can't wait to see some of the live templates that you guys come up with. Feel free to join us on Discord and share them there, or share them with me on Twitter to @InfallibleCode. Well, if you stuck around this long, I can only assume that you want to get your hands on one of those promo codes. To receive one, all you need to do is sign up for my email newsletter using the link in the description of this video. Once you sign up, you'll be taken to a welcome page that has the promo code, as well as a link to some instructions on how to redeem your copy of Rider. Keep in mind that supplies are limited, so be sure to act fast. If you enjoyed this video, then please leave a like and a comment letting me know what you thought. Thank you for watching, and as always, I'll catch you in the next video. Special thanks to Dark Rush Photography, NZ, Thomas, Trond, and Wayne Glows.